people who care about like every little facet of the lore. That's kind of why, like, bro, like I said, I'm getting tired of Tower of God, bro. Like, you can like think it's one of the series that's most frustrating to talk about because like you can read the entire series, just read the entire series, and there'll still be so much lore that you don't get because you have to read all these blog posts that contradict each other.
Yep.
And then, dude, it's a lot.
But it's the reason why I like, personally speaking, I'm not a lore guy. It's not that I don't appreciate lore and don't like it, but lore and world building are not the most important things to me in storytelling. I think some people hang their hats on that a little too much, and they get on their hopium and copium, and they hold on to the lore because it's rich. There's just so much interesting things about this tower that we have yet to explore, and characters and the concepts of Shinsu that we have yet to go through. But I don't know if they're going to matter to that degree. I'll always go characters and kind of narrative and subplots. Those are kind of the kind of order that I go in, generally speaking. I always think,
Yeah.
I personally, to me, the most important thing in storytelling will always be the characters. If I don't care about what the characters are doing, even if I think the writing is solid and the plot is good, my level of interest is gonna be just a little bit lower. But
Yeah, I'm the same way.
yeah. But I'm with you, especially the part where like the issue with the blog post and why I don't take them seriously at all anymore is because I'm at the point where it's like, you're gonna have to prove that to me in the webtoon. And sometimes you say something, and I read the chapter that I just read, and I'm like, these are not like this. You're wrong, or
Yeah.
you're just lying. I never forget this one. This one that I never forget when he says, you can't say Bam as ranker level. Oh, this is when he beat one of Doom's like random canine people henchmen when he in the cage, and he palmed him. When Crocker made that bet, like, oh, if he can beat him, blah blah blah, and he thought he was going to use the thorn, but Ivanka said he couldn't use it, but he was able to beat him anyways without it. He's like, you can't say that Bam is actually ranker level because the canine person that he fought didn't use a Houndborn transformation. I'm like, Bam didn't pull out a thorn, the Black March, second thorn. He ain't like, what are you doing here? I read the story.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. And just like he says it and they like eat it up, and it's like, bro, no. I'm not doing that. This is kind of my problem with ancillary information coming from sources outside of the story itself. I think it's cool to tell me shit like their favorite snack or blood type and birthday. That's
Yeah.
fine. I'm
Yeah.
cool with that. Or maybe a small thing that maybe you couldn't fit in the story or something. But when you start to give me extremely important tidbits and details, it frustrates me. Same thing with the
feel
Beaver
same
cards
way.
with One Piece. I don't like them. When the SBSs tell me something extremely important I didn't see in the story, I don't like that.
Let's leave this video on a negative note, just how I like it.
Hey,
I always do that. I always end my videos with some sort of like rant or something like that. I don't know, dude. It's just it's impactful, I guess.
that's funny. I always tell them, don't yell at me about positivity and all that. When I did the experiment. I think I told you about the experiment. I made the best and worst moment, best and worst fight. Which one had more views? The worst.
You would assume, I don't know, I feel like you would assume it's the best, but I feel like, yeah, the worst is always because people like to get offended, they like to get riled up.
Yep.
So like,
They need a
even
cause
if
to
they
fight.
do dislike, they still give you that click.
Yep, they need a
Kinda
cause
how
to
it is.
fight. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. That's how you in the mud, bro. You need to figure it out. You need to figure out what he's doing, cause all of this is not it, and it's getting worse. And because the more I read Kubera, the more I look at Tower of God like the ex-girlfriend that did me dirty that I just don't respect anymore. I'm just like, look at you, just not being great.
The way I see Tower of God, man, is kind of like a class. At the beginning of the semester, you were just boom, and you were like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great. Write that down. And like now I'm at the point where it's like, bro, if I have to ingest one more letter, dude, like, oh my gosh, bro, like enough. Like, geez, man. I feel like I need to take a step back off like this chapter to chapter stuff because like chapter to chapter, I feel like it's not even that good. I feel like Tower of God is at its best. You look at like certain like you look at the series as a whole, or like when you look at like certain arcs, certain points in the story, like especially in the past, because like this current season, it's not it. Like I kind of agree with you, it's not it. So like when you look at like season 2 and you start making videos on like that stuff, or like season 1, then that's when you're gonna get like, you're gonna start enjoying it again. But like
It's always
I've been
exciting.
making so many videos on like just specifically Tower of God season 3, like bruh, it's not it.
It gets to you, man. It gets to you. And I don't
Yeah.
have that, I'm not. I think I would consider myself a realist. Like it's not half full, it's half empty. It's just a cup of water, a glass of water. That's how I see it. Like, but I don't know. I honestly, I really think that I'm very honest about Tower of God. I give credit where credit is due. I tell you when I like certain things. There's a lot of stuff in season 3 that I think is pretty good and cool, and sometimes I think he's up. I think he was trending in an upward direction for quite some time, with the kind
Yeah.
of trauma ray section and everything. I really thought we were going. I even like, as much as I still really wish we got that Immorta kind of backstory with Yama and Bay Road. I don't hate the concept of the three brothers and how it ties into Yasrach, and then they Wang Wang's a terrible name, but their dad and and Lopobia. Still think it's serviceable. Like I don't think it's bad, but I just didn't think
Question.
this is the series how to get here. That's all it is. And my other problem is I don't know what's important anymore. Like he could say something that sounds so definitive and important. I don't know if it actually means anything. So I don't like to hold on to anything that's been said at this point. I just kind of look at it like, okay.
It's true. I got a question. What do you think about current trauma ray as of like most recent chapter?
He's I don't say his stock is falling, but he's I don't understand him. I don't think what the law being like, oh, he's gonna fight and I'm gonna blah. Like, what is he? I don't understand. Like, I don't think it makes sense. And I don't even like blame Trauma. Right? I just think SIU just made some really wonky decisions in the last couple of chapters with her and what's going on with this. Because I guess because Jinsung said he is very sneaky and manipulative. Maybe he has some really sinister ulterior motive that he doesn't care because he's just like, oh, y'all trifles and creatures and don't matter. Maybe that's what it is. But I thought he was more interesting at the beginning. I think the last couple of chapters with some of the decision making he was making, how just sounds like, oh, what if bam? Like I'm like, why are you listening to him? Oh my god.
Yeah. You said you don't think Trauma Ray's stock has fallen too much. I think it took a plummet, bro. I don't even like Trauma Ray that much anymore. He was like probably top. I don't want to say top, maybe top 5 for me before all that, but like, dude, now I don't even like it. He's not even top 20 for me anymore, dude. Like, I feel like SIU completely removed all threat that he had. Like at one point, like he literally had the Shinwonryu. He was like, all right, if anybody says one word, I make this entire nest disappear. 5,000 conversations later, Yama literally killing one of his creatures or like damaging it. Yazracha literally attacking him. Like, dude, Yazracha literally squared up with him directly and survived. Like, just the fact that like he didn't instantly die makes no sense. Just the fact that Jinsung Ha intervened within his conversation with Bomb does not make sense. And the fact that Jinsung Ha actually was able to have multiple times at this point have like full-on conversations. Like, dude, Trauma Ray is supposed to see this guy as an insignificant creature. Why is he entertaining him? Why is he talking to him? The fact that like Lilial Jihad in the presence of Trauma Ray said, I'm going to ignore this order from this family head and do what I want to do, while Trauma Ray was right in front of her and she could sense his power. That just does not make any sort of sense,
That's
bro.
kind of what I was saying. It's just really the decision making and the optics. It's just like, bro, like okay, so here's the two things that I think that he's been trying to do with the couple like recent chapters that I think is I don't think these are bad, but you have to execute. I think the general idea is that he is so indifferent. Everything around him is so like menial. He doesn't care that he's not gonna take action like that because you're just not important. But he did say there's a line that you shouldn't cross, and apparently they crossed it. And like you said, he did say, okay, yo, be silent. You don't see I'm trying to talk to this guy, a regular? Shut up. And like you said, everyone's like, we gonna escape, we gonna get to the ship, we gonna press the button, we gonna do this. Oh, yo, LaFave, when we do it, yo, shoot the portal. Like 80 things happen, and he just standing there. And I'm like, okay. Like, this is the issue that I have with supremely powerful characters pulling up when it's like too early sometimes. Because I think you have to do so much nonsense to not make them just wipe the floor with everybody. Number 2, he seems to be obsessed with the idea of having everyone in the tower think Bam is not powerful or not as strong as he should be. The weakest Slayer candidate in history. Blah, blah, blah. So then when he does something, they're like, what? How could a C rank regular? Uncle Bunga. I'm like, oh my God, turn this off, man. I'm so tired of this. I think that was the whole point of the interaction. So she thinks she's weak. She gonna tell everybody he weak, he not worth it, he trash. They're gonna pull up on him, he gonna be raw, and they're gonna be like, huh? I kind of like him now. And I'm like,
Played out. It's played out for sure. But like, I actually like. I don't have a problem with like what you said, like the supreme indifference approach, right?
Yeah,
Where
but
it's like
execution though.
I was gonna say like the execution of it, I think is awful because okay, as a concept, I think it's great. I think it's fine. It could work. But the thing is, if you're gonna have a character like that, okay, like I get like everybody's doing all this crazy stuff, like you said, the portal dude, like people are talking over him. I get if he doesn't care about that, it's fine, right? But don't have him actually like make empty threats. That does not make sense. If he's gonna say, yeah, I will make the nest disappear, and then they just ignore him, right? It takes away from his character if people are going to like completely disobey him in front of his face, or if he does attack someone, right? This is a family head. Yes, Racha should not be able to tank an attack from a family head. I think it needs to be at the point where like if he says something, he means it. If he is going to take action, he takes it to the extreme because he's a family head. He has to be on that like insane, unthinkable level, right? But the thing is that he's just not doing it. So like if he's not going to exceed our expectations in that sense, if he's not going to like go crazy, then he shouldn't do anything at all. Just stick to the indifference, But like it's kind of like SIU's trying to like push this idea of indifference while simultaneously having him do things, but the things that he does just comes off as like meaningless and trash.
Isn't the only person his Shin 1 Ryu killed that is worth a damn the guy who was like running the cat tower in the lighthouse? Isn't he like the only guy that died? That like matters?
I think the only people that died were like unnamed like
Rankers,
beast skin or something.
and beast skins and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Like I think me and you would have taken that. Like if he just never makes that statement because he doesn't care about what they're doing and running around, he just talks to Bam, I think we'd have been fine. But it's because he made the threat.
Yeah, it takes away from his credibility, which is like really bad.
I sometimes wonder how authors see their own series in comparison to other people. This is why I actually always think the editor role is very important. You can't have like yes men or yes women people around you, and you can't I don't know. I always want the person to have full creative control. Like you should always have the last say, but to have someone you respect enough that their opinion or critiques are going to actually resonate with you, because I think that's how sometimes you get some of the best storytelling. Because you can,
I'm pretty sure like
sometimes how you write and draw something, it was not the way that people are actually going to take it. You have to actually kind of test that sometimes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like the editor of Naruto came up with like the entirety of Sasuke and his character arc, which is like the best part of Naruto. So it's like that's clutch right there. And I think like me personally, like when I write stories, I feel like it's very easy to like look at your own work and sort of view it as like infallible, because like in your mind you're not going to write something unless you think it's some gas, some fire. So you're just going to be writing things that you think are great, and you have to have somebody look at it and be like, okay, this part, remove it.
That's actually funny. I have the opposite problem. I hate everything I do. I'm like, this sucks. And they're like, no, it's like, I'm like, but I'm hard on myself. I'm very hard on myself. I give myself like very little slack.
It's one of those things where like it could go either way, where like you write something and then like it's actually some fire, but like for some reason you just don't feel comfortable putting it out. You just don't feel like it's good, but it's fire. Or like you write something, you think it's fire, but like in reality it's just like, nah, it's just not it. Like I think there is value in that. So
yeah, you need a good team around you for stuff like that. That's why like for certain things like that, like I always ask for brutal honesty, because I'm like, I'm trying, like you actually lying to my face and just telling me it's good doesn't help me improve. I'm not interested in putting out something that I don't think is quality. I want it to be good. So even if you're like, listen, see this character from top to bottom, ass cheeks, redo it. That's okay. It doesn't mean I'm going to listen to you and do that, but I want you to be honest about your opinion. That's why I make sure I surround myself with people who are going to critique me or say honestly. And I always tell my like my subscribers to do it too. Like, I might say something like, yo, if I don't do this, you can hold me accountable. Hold my feet to the fire. Don't let me get away with that shit.
I agree. I feel bad, dude, because my subscribers, they're too nice, dude. Like, I'll always say like, oh, like give me criticism. Oh, I love the video, but like I'll be like, nah, this video was ass, bro. Like a lot of the content like I produce, like lately, I feel like it's not as good as I can make it, or as good as I like it to be. You know, I feel like a lot of low effort type of stuff, or like a lot of content that I feel like really like I could add so much more to the table I'm just not doing. And then people will just be like, they'll comment like, oh, great video, love the video. And it's like, but I don't know, man. I kind of want somebody to like comment and say, yo, this video, if you had done like, I would have liked if you had taken this concept and added it to this video, or like, but you know, I can't really expect people to do my job for me. You know, it's kind of my job, but
No,
it's just kind of how it is.
It's well taken because I think some of them are like that. Because some of them are just generally like a little more positive about things of that nature, and I do think a lot of them maybe subscribers that I tend to sometimes siphon from Joe. They tend to just be more positive people in general.
It's
But
true.
I think my community itself is pretty critical in general, but they don't tend to actually criticize my video or anything. They might just not disagree with a point that I'm making. But someone might tell me the audio's too low every once in a while here and there or something like that. So I get it more often now. But I remember at the beginning, everything I did was great and awesome and there was nothing wrong with it. And I'm like, I'm not going to get better like this. So I actually started asking some of the other content creators, like, what do you think I should do better? And some of them are like, yo, like your video, like one of the things they used to tell me sometimes, like your videos, like what you're saying is really interesting, but it's boring to look at. So edit it some more and stuff like that. Like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. There you go. Make it more interesting.
Yeah.
The problem I'll talk about Tower of God specifically is like there's not a lot of anime. This is more now, so like now
Exactly.
I could take like the season 3 trailer, some of the video game stuff and everything like that, and I guess there is technically the 13 or 12 episode anime. I don't remember how long it was, and I just finished it. Actually, I finally finished it, and it wasn't good, but I finally finished it. I could only kind of use the webtoon, so just like hard for me to speak about sometimes because I actually like to like have animated stuff there. So, but I actually started doing what you did with that one video. Like I need something to do with so much of my video game footage. So sometimes I'll just have my video game footage playing while I'm speaking over some stuff, and I'll throw some Tower of God overlays in there and stuff. But my indies, people be asking me though sometimes like, what game is this? I'm like, oh, this is Ollie Ollie World. This is Hyperlight Drifter or something. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's just kind of like it's hard, man, because without having that like consistent, being able to like go like with like hundreds of episodes of anime to work from, you could easily just put something together. But like with Tower of God, it's hard editing with like only webtoon panels, and so you have to get a little creative sometimes. Like sometimes I'll be using gameplay like I feel kind of bad because sometimes I feel like it might take away from like what I'm saying if they're just watching gameplay. It might be like distracting. There's kind of like a fine line you have to like learn how to like work with. It's definitely like a big learning curve, and I'm still learning it.
The best I try to do when I have all the time in the world to do is like, let's say I have like maybe a minute of like Ollie Ollie World, and I say the part where Bam pulls out the shield, like I'll have that panel like. I might make it a little less transparent, like the opacity a little less, so it's like doesn't fully cover the game, but you at least know what I'm referencing. So I just try to do it that way. It's the best way for me to do it. But yeah,
I think that your list was really good, especially that Hell Joe pick. I wasn't expecting. I was expecting that Mule Love, but I'm really glad that that you put Hell Joe, because like that's something I wouldn't have thought of, and I think that character is really, really good.
The one that threw me for the loop for yours the most was Ho, but I like what you had to say about it. That made sense to me. Ho threw me for the biggest loop. I like Daniel, so I was cool with that. If I thought about him, I would have, or remembered he existed until you said it. I would have maybe picked him.
I think like retrospectively thinking about your list, I probably would swap Ghost for Hell Joe, and that would be my list now, my updated list.
Okay. I'd probably maybe remove Karaka with someone else, but my Karaka thoughts I know are very personal. I don't act like it's very subjective. I know that. So I just really I thought he was gonna be him. You understand? He was the one. Let's look at the armor. Look at the energy. I was so hyped.
You thought he was the one character that just completely takes your series by storm with just the level of badass you've never seen before. Then
Infinite Past Lives, World of Darkness. I said, yo, he got like the tricky type abilities too. Like, you know, like he like kind of fake immortal. Like, come on, bro.
All right. Well, thank you so much, for being on here. I really do appreciate it. It's always great talking to you, man.
Of course, anytime. And we're gonna have to get you in the. I'm doing just so you know. I don't know if I told you yet, but I'm doing that big discussion after like the officials actually wrap up. I'm doing a big discussion, roundhouse table thing, like me, you, Joe, Milios, Boss Jesse. It's some of the guys from AOA if they're around, Sunwoo, stuff like that. So I want to make a big round table. We're gonna talk about the Nest and how much of if it's a good or bad arc. So. It's gonna be interesting, and I'm gonna tell you now in case you want to research it or like kind of one of the talking points from a power scaling standpoint is gonna be how strong is Bam without Shinsu reinforcement and boosting, because that's been something I've been talking about recently.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing I'll research and reread for that video for sure, because you and Joe especially are like Tower of God encyclopedias, so I gotta be up on my game.
Haku is also like Haku.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Haku too.
Haku,
yeah.
He just remembers like the randomest details. Where I'm like, I actually think in terms of recalling things, they're better than me. I just know where to look really fast. Like I have this ability like real quick. Like I'll be like, oh, what did Caliban say here? And I just like I know Caliban was introduced around this chapter, so it'll probably be 4 from this chapter. Like, I could find the info really quick. Those guys just remember it. The difference, I think, is just because of like my education and how I like wrote a lot and read a lot and how I like went through like post secondary. I just understand storytelling better than they do.
Yeah, I can't be remembering like that.
Yeah,
I only did one read through, so like
there's that too.
Just like forget everything. All right, man. Take care, man.
Yep.